I've got to manage myself, I've got to manage my mind. The task is not easy, but to higher heights I climb.
I'm determined to succeed, so no excuses, please. If you don't want success in life, then don't hinder me.
Hello everyone, I'm Michael E. Parker, and it is September 23rd, and this is the show we've been telling you about, the truth about solar. I'm so excited to invite you to the show, and as always, I want to remind you, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, or join our Facebook group where you can stay connected to the You Are a CEO movement. But again, it is tonight, September 23rd, and we are talking about the truth about solar. You're going to hear some wonderful things, and what better way to start than with an expert in solar and energy. And I'd like to welcome you to Joseph Barghouthi. How are you, Joseph?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
Well,
Pronounced my name perfectly.
Thank you.
That's the first step in success.
That's the first step in success. Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to let you all know who Joseph is here. Joseph is an expert in solar and energy, and we're going to have a two-part series because this is so important. And there's a partnership that is formed where we are really aligning the expertise of Joseph and his team in solar and energy and the self-leadership spirit of You Are a CEO to help people be the CEO of their energy. And so, Joseph, I am so excited about tonight.
Thank you. I feel the same way.
Well, listen, I want to first take a little bit of time to let people get to know you a little bit. And, you know, I know you're someone that has a passion about some of the things we're going to be talking about. And tell a little bit about where you're from and just, you know, who you are a little bit.
Sure. Thank you, Michael. So, absolutely passionate about the space. Grew up in the Bay Area. Fremont, California. And it was around 2010 when energy prices were spiking and there was a push for energy independence in the United States. And so I wanted to be a part of that movement. So I studied as much as I possibly could on the subject matter. I happened to meet with a few entrepreneurs that were empowering entrepreneurs across the country to start their own business in the solar space.
Okay.
Some of these folks were electricians, roofers, HVAC professionals, and they wanted to add solar to their business.
Now, at that time, wasn't solar kind of, you know, getting more popularized?
That's
I mean,
right.
what was the climate at that time when this was going on?
That's a great question. Yes, there was a big push by Obama in regards to the tax credit that was being provided to homeowners. In order to switch to solar, there was a 30% tax credit that was implemented, which made the cost of solar accessible for most people.
I see.
And so that's what really sparked the industry.
Okay.
And so 2010 was right around the time where you saw multiple companies getting into the space, and we wanted to create some competition for those larger companies. And so enabling entrepreneurs throughout the country to start their own business was what we focused on.
I see.
Through that process, I learned a lot of the details of how the utility companies are typically monopolies and typically generate power and charge homeowners at rates that are unbelievable.
Well, listen, we're going to talk a lot more about that tonight. I'm really glad that you mentioned that. I want to just say a little bit about, you know, this experience that you went through dealing with entrepreneurs and helping entrepreneurs in this space. What do you think began to teach you the most and open your eyes the most about what was really going on with energy? Because it's not something you learn about in school.
That's right.
You know, I know you're very accomplished and well educated. You know, I know some of your, you had your degree in, what was that again?
Yeah, so actually I have a liberal studies degree with a minor in business from Cal State East Bay.
Right, me too, Cal State East Bay, that's right.
All right, alumni.
Yes.
Yes, so a fantastic experience there. Then I went for my master's degree at Cal State Stanislaus in the Central Valley. And it was right after that I started my approach into the energy space, learning more about how the utility works and options that people had to empower themselves.
So the only way you can really learn in this space, I mean, it's almost like, you know, a secret how this stuff really works, right? You know, because they don't teach this stuff in college. So you begin to get involved in this and to kind of pull the curtain back on what's really happening with energy. So at what point did you realize this was something that you were passionate about? Because you didn't go to school for that.
No, you're right. I think what happened was I bought my first home and I started to receive electric bills. That's people's first experience owning their own home.
Right.
Or even if you were renting on your own. So I was a young adult, received my first electric bill, and you sort of feel helpless.
Right.
What do you do with this bill other than just pay it?
Yeah.
There's no negotiating.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like your cell phone bill where you can call multiple providers and say, you know, hey, is there anything better you can do for me?
That's so true.
And so you sort of feel helpless. And then once you start learning that there's opportunities to become more independent, it can be really confusing at first. You know, there's so many different options when it comes to solar companies, and you just have no idea what to do. So you sort of just wait. You don't do anything.
Right.
So once I started learning about the various rate schedules that the utility companies have, how they're manipulating homeowners into believing that they're providing them at the best value, but then each year you see price increases and again, that helplessness.
Right.
And people just start to ignore it.
Right.
You know, they sort of become complacent.
Yeah, yeah.
And so my role at 2010 was to find out how can we start enabling people to make the best decision for themselves and their household.
Absolutely. So when you started to learn kind of how it all worked, and also, you know, you have that wake up experience with the utility bill, I think, was there a part of you that also felt that you were kind of like a liberator, you know, to, you know,
right.
help people feel that they can get a sense of freedom? Because, you know, we always say knowledge is power, but I like to say applied knowledge is power, right? But you can't even apply what you don't know. So did you find that ignorance was one of the greatest things keeping people in bondage?
Yeah, there's a lot of fear in the unknown. So in the case of power for your own home and the complexity of adding a solution like solar, people sort of freeze up. So to liberate them, you need to simplify things, right? You need to explain to them step by step how you can make this transition without spending a lot of money doing it.
Right.
Maybe even zero out of pocket completely. And the fears about what about my home and taking care of this solar system that's on my roof? How do I make sure that this thing's gonna run for the next 25 years, which is what the life expectancy of a solar system can be, or warranty. And I think the art of all this is to take that complexity and simplify it so people can digest it quickly, short little steps. And that's what we started to do in 2010. The industry's grown considerably. I'm sure most of your audience knows by now someone that has solar on their roof. So it's sort of demystified now. Now it's a matter of just taking all these options that they have and showing them how they can acquire solar in the best way.
Yet and still, there's still so many people who don't understand it.
That's right.
They're hearing about it more. They have a neighbor who's done it, but to fully understand it. And so I love what you said about you know, demystifying and really getting to the bottom of things, because that's actually what we're going to do next. So we're gonna take a short break, and I want you all to know we're going to be taking some you know, breaks where you're going to kind of watch some clips to, you know, related to energy and solar, some education in that. But we're gonna have some fun tonight. You all know I love the whiteboard, but I found someone who loves the whiteboard like I do, and it's Joseph Barghouthi. Did I say that right again?
You just said it right
again. He loves the whiteboard like I do. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we're gonna both be at the whiteboard, that's right. And we're gonna start off talking about just the traditional structure regarding power and energy. What's going on? How does this all work? And so when we come back, you're gonna learn a lot about that. So make sure you tune back in. We're gonna take a short commercial break, but it's an educational commercial break. So stay tuned as you watch that, and we'll be right back.
Solar energy. Did you know that all of the energy we use comes from the sun? You probably know that's true for solar panels, but the sun is also the ultimate source for energy generated by wind, water, and fossil fuels. It works like this. Heat from the sun drives the air currents and water currents that turn wind turbines and power hydroelectric dams. Meanwhile, the rays of the sun also help the plants grow that ultimately become wood, coal, and gas. What if we could cut out the middleman to open the most direct path between the sun and the energy we use every day? Let's take a step back so we can understand the real power and potential of the sun. The sun is a massive, flaming sphere of gases, 330,000 times more massive than the Earth. At its core, the sun is 27 million degrees Fahrenheit, which is 60,000 times the temperature of your oven when you bake a pizza. The sun gives off lots of energy into space as heat and light, called solar energy. If we could capture all of the solar energy that reaches the Earth's surface, we could continuously run a 25-inch television on every square meter of the Earth and still have energy left over. Right now, we aren't using all this energy. Instead, we mostly rely on coal, oil, natural gas, and other resources.
Hello, everyone. We are back, as promised, at the whiteboard. So me and Joseph are going to have some fun here. And Joseph, I know you're the expert here. And so normally I'm at the whiteboard and I'm talking about something I have expertise in. This time, I'm kind of a student. But one thing I do know is that, you know, there's a bunch of these homes everywhere, right? And I'll just keep it really simple. There's some homes out here. And I know we've got meters that are at these homes. And I know we got these power companies that are in all these different areas. And they own the utility. Now, we get metered and we pay fees, and I know that there's some of that there, but help build on this and explain what is really going on and what is the problem that makes you so passionate about how we need to be educated at what's going on with our energy.
Sure. So first thing, you nailed it, right? There's one utility, right? So that leaves these folks with no choice, right? And these utilities have to transport power through lines to these homes.
Okay.
This has a cost to maintain, right? Delivering on this kind of power means that you have to maintain these lines. Part of the problem with most utilities is the maintenance of all those lines, the transmission.
Right.
So when you look on your bill, you'll actually see a transmission section on your bill, and that's part of what the charge for your power is related to.
Right.
Second of all, they have to burn something to generate power. You know, sometimes it's natural gas, right? In some cases, it's coal in some states, and in some cases, it's been nuclear, right? Which a lot of people fear.
Right. Yeah, I think I think it's worthy of some fear.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So these all have a cost associated with it.
Okay.
Right? And the costs for these natural resources continue to increase over time. Right? So you have to maintain the transmission lines, you have to generate the power itself, and then there are public purpose programs that the utility offers to help subsidize the cost for different demographics, and all that's baked into your bill.
Okay.
And then each quarter, each year, the utility's always striving to achieve more. They're trying to charge more,
Okay.
right? Some of these utilities are publicly owned, right? They have investors. The investors demand a return. So on your bill, you're going to see increases strategically placed so that the utility is constantly earning more and more money, paying a return to their investors.
So making sure I'm following you, this is very good. So the utility company, they are figuring out how to generate power from whatever resource and running all the lines, and they have a monopoly on those lines to send it, and we basically can't have electricity and power without them. And sometimes there's a private interest in terms of investors that actually are saying, what can we do that will maximize profit, even though this is almost a resource we need like water or anything else.
That's right.
So is that kind of, make sure I'm following, is that where we're, okay.
Yes, it's gotten to the point where we have to have a separate commission called the Public Utility Commission that oversees this whole process. Because if this were to run amok, a monopoly that had complete control over individual homeowners, I mean, prices would skyrocket, right?
Right.
If you're the only game in town, right?
Right.
And homeowners are stuck with that, then you can quickly see escalation of rates.
Right. So let me ask you this. So if we've got the Public Utility Commission that you're saying is supposed to, you know, govern everything, and we know that this commission is supposed to make sure things are being done fair, right? But so what's going on? Why isn't it fair if we have this? And then, you know, can you explain that, and also explain that being that this is an operation so important as even trying to be governed, what type of abuses are happening that we should be aware of?
Yeah. So the first thing, the Public Utility Commission is supposed to have the interest of the consumer at heart, but also maintain the utility solvency. They have to stay alive, right?
Sure.
Investors also need a certain return in order to invest in the company. So this is not an easy job to do. And at the same time, you can sometimes have issues that are out of everyone's control. For example, you see the fires that occurred in Northern California. Right? That was due to lack of maintenance of the lines, right? And currently that's caused one of the utilities, Pacific Gas and Electric, to file for bankruptcy. Right? And we're talking billions of dollars in damages that they have to pay. So the Public Utility Commission has no choice in that regard. They have to increase income for the utility. So in that case, you're going to see increases in your rates.
So when there's you know, failures here, and we see that there's lawsuits and things that happen, you know, you talked about the horrific fires that happen here in California. So when the cost begins to go up here, then they have to find a way to cover that cost.
only
Right.
one way to get that cost back.
Right.
That's you and I in our homes.
Right. Even
Right.
though we weren't really at fault with whatever negligence was happening there. So that's just one example, but that monopoly power there, do you feel like that is what causes us at home to experience fees and things that maybe we shouldn't be experiencing if we had control of our power?
That's exactly right. Because you're not in control of these outliers, these issues that can happen, you feel helpless. And the utility is doing what it naturally has to do, which is increase its prices to increase its revenue. So it's upon us to find solutions that are independent of the utility.
Right.
And that's what we're here to talk about.
Now, we're gonna, in our next segment, we're gonna talk a little bit about, how we can use solar and some of the energy efficiency things to take control. I mean, that's what this is all about, right? But we're getting to some truth about solar. And one of the things that I know is also a touch point issue, and not to get into any politics or anything, but when we deal with the environment and some of the issues with the environment, the way that these utility companies tend to generate their power is also a controversy, right? So why don't you say a little bit about that? Because I know this is a controversy here.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's one thing to determine what, I have to develop lines, transmission lines, and I have to generate the power, but what's the cost of our health? What's the cost of the environment, right? Well, if you apply a cost to that, that's not baked in to just our bills.
Right.
That's baked into the asthma that we get from the pollution in the air, right?
Right.
The allergies. I mean, just all those costs combined, we have to do something beyond just saving our pocketbooks. There's some environmental aspect to this. California is the strictest. So when you look at California, you'll see escalation in rate prices because they're trying to avoid this type of pollution.
Right. So this is in essence, I mean, some people try to, there's issues about, the climate and whether or not there's global warming and all that. But we know that this stuff is not good for us as a whole.
Period.
And so
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if we look at, the individual here, we got our power coming in from the utilities. We experience that power, then we pay. But if we pay, and in exchange for that, we can also get health risks.
Right.
In a sense, isn't it like we are paying for our own health risk?
That's right. We're suffocating ourselves.
Wow.
And we need to get out of this vicious cycle. And part of what the utility does really well is they mask all of this with campaigns about being pro-environment and so on.
Right.
But they have the same challenge everyone else has. They have an old, antiquated business model.
Right.
And
trying to keep it alive.
trying to keep it alive.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So this is really good. Now we're gonna be back here at the whiteboard. We're gonna take another break, but I want to build from here, Joseph, and have you educate us on if this is the old world, right? And this is the truth about what's really going on traditionally. But I want to talk a little bit about how solar panels and knowledge about energy can change the game, and we can all take better control of our energy. So when we come back, we'll be right here at the whiteboard, and we'll continue on with our commercial clips that are educating you more a little bit about the energy and the solar energy field. We'll be right back.
But these sources aren't renewable, which means they'll eventually run out. In fact, if we keep using these non-renewable resources at the rate we are now, we may run out of oil and gas in the next 50 or so years, and coal in the next 115 years. Not only are these non-renewable resources going to run out, they're also polluting our planet and contributing to climate change. The sun's energy, on the other hand, will not run out for the next 5 billion years. That makes it a renewable resource. Other renewable resources, like wind and water, can also provide us with energy. But even all the energy we can get from all these sources added together is still less than 1% of the solar energy reaching the Earth. It's clear that the potential of solar energy massively outshines its competitors.
Hello, everyone. We are back. I hope you enjoyed that clip, and we're learning a little bit more as we go. And Joseph, this has been great. I'm learning so much from you. And we talked about some of the things going on with the utility companies, how the power moves, how it works, and some of the challenges when you have a for-profit mindset and a monopolistic industry, and we're at the brunt of it. Now, when we think about the home today, and now how, back to this house again, and now we can put these solar panels on our home and we can benefit from the sun. And now this is just one aspect of it, but it's a big part of it, how the sun can then have so much power and, that can be leveraged. Talk a little bit about how solar works. Now, we're going to get into some other elements of energy, but tell me a little bit about how solar works from the sun to actually making my bill go away. How does it work?
Absolutely. Beautiful. So the mechanics of how a solar system works. First off, the technology of converting sunlight into electricity, it's been around since the 60s, so this isn't like new. As a matter of fact, when you look at like space, aerospace technology, satellites, those all run off of solar powered panels. Now the way it works is you're going to take sunlight that's hitting directly onto this panel that's going to create DC power on this roof. Okay. Now that DC power is going to run all the way down to your service panel on the side of your property, which will then funnel into your home. You're going to convert this DC power into AC power using a box called an inverter. Okay, so this is just the technicalities of how power is transported from the roof down to your home. Now this service panel is going to route the power into your home. Whatever you don't use ends up going back out into the meter, which then goes back to the utility. Now, on its way back to the utility, as it's going to other homes, it'll actually help the utility submit that power, distribute that power to other homes in the community as well.
Really?
Yeah. So you can see how the distribution of power actually helps the utility. Now, instead of generating power at their power plant and having to distribute it all over the place, they have power coming from the homes, actually sharing power with other homes. And you get credit for this power that's being generated from the solar system back to the grid.
Credit in terms of real money, dollars?
Yes, dollar credits. Now, this dollar credit is not to be cashed out. This dollar credit is to be used at night when there is no sunlight, because solar power only works during the day. At night, all that credit that you've banked, PG&E or the utility company in your area is tracking that credit and providing you back that credit in order to power your home at night.
So let me make sure I really got this. This is great, and I love the DC and the AC. This is all great. So when you look at this bank, so this meter, basically, I have a bank of energy.
If I may add, this is actually called a net meter.
Yes,
There you go.
So this net meter, again, there's a bank of energy here now that the utility company has to recognize.
That's right.
Because I've conserved enough power for what I use today and more. And and more is what is in this bank. And basically, this money is not so much writing me a check, but saying you have a credit with us to give you the energy you need at night without paying for it because you've already stored it yourself.
That's correct. And this is actually put into law. And this was helped through the Public Utility Commission, which enforces this rule. So the utility, in essence, is your backup battery. Instead of having to buy a battery for your home, they're essentially your battery.
Wow, so not only am I focusing on getting the energy I need right now while I'm in my house doing whatever, using my electricity, I'm actually building that backup battery and backup support for when I'm no longer able to access the sun.
That's right. That's right. As we know, cyclical, night, day, we have to plan for the nighttime. And using this system, we actually partner with the utility in order to power our homes throughout the entire day.
So if before the utility company was using, like we talked about, whether it was coal and, natural gas and all these things that we talked about in our last segment, sometimes these things are things that can hurt the environment. Not only are we taking control of our energy, we're actually, when we allow some of that bank of energy, are you saying that now some of that also is supplying other homes?
That's right.
So does it mean that my energy from my panels is also a bank for me and I'm supporting other people?
That's right. The utility is using the excess power that you're selling to them to sell back to other homes in your neighborhood.
Without using some
That's
of the more
right.
harmful.
It reduces the load on the utility. So
I
they
see.
no longer have to use as much of the natural resources.
Okay.
And so the more homes that put solar in a community, the more renewable energy is being circulated throughout that area.
So explain to me the kind of maybe the politics of it. So why wouldn't, or is the utility company, do they frown upon solar or do they see it as a benefit? I mean, it seems like in essence, these homes are becoming suppliers for them and building up a bank of clean energy for them to use. But why is it that they, do they look at it as adversary or as a friend?
Good question. If it was purely a monopoly play without any regulation, I think the utility would have a tough time swallowing this pill, right? But it's supposed to be for the good of the people. You have the Public Utility Commission that's overseeing everything. So this model has been improved over time.
Okay.
And the utility has put in their 2 cents as to what they wanted to see as far as the economic structure. How much of a credit do I give during what time of the day? You know, do I allow you to do this throughout the whole day?
Right.
Do I charge you some sort of fee for at least maintaining the power lines, even though you do have solar?
Right.
So all this has been a back and forth between the solar industry that's looking out on behalf of the industry as well as the homeowners, and the utility company that's looking out for its self-survival.
Right.
Essentially, every customer that we're putting solar panels on is a customer that the utility is losing as far as power that the customer's buying,
Right.
So they're constantly looking at ways to make up for that revenue.
Right.
At the same time, California sets a mandate and other states set mandates on how much power needs to be reduced through renewable energy rather than just the natural resources that are
Right,
being burned.
right.
So utilities have to move towards that goal, and so we actually help with that goal in order
see.
for them to achieve that mandate.
So there is some sort of mandates and political factors that drive utility companies to have to change their behavior, whether they want to or not.
That's right.
But it is an impact on their bottom line. But in the end, it does make everyone better.
That's right.
If we go on this route. But they have to find out new ways of still making money.
That's right.
So let's switch gears a little bit about, because we're kind of talking about how this works now, where we can take control of our energy. But let's talk about some of the benefits, because I know that there's also a direct benefit. I'm going to come over here on your side a little
sure.
bit. So there's a benefit here where taxes are concerned. Let me get this here right here. But where taxes are concerned, there's a benefit here that also has been mandated. So can you explain the tax benefit to someone who's decided to go solar?
Yeah, absolutely. So the IRS provides a 30% tax credit. This is not a write-off. This is a dollar-for-dollar credit for either monies that an individual would owe to the IRS, or if an individual is employed and receives a W-2 and pay stub,
Right.
whatever has been withheld may be returned.
Okay.
So this tax credit is on the entire value of the system.
Wow.
All the components, all the labor, everything that's in one contract related to the installation of a solar system on this project.
Wow.
That's huge.
Wow.
So you can imagine if a standard project was anywhere between the $20,000 to $30,000 range, then you're talking about, and if you don't mind, I'm just
Sure.
write this up here.
Yeah.
If you have a $20,000 project and you're applying a 30% tax credit to that, that's essentially $6,000
Right.
that you're eligible to receive, bringing that $20,000 project value down to only $14,000,
Right.
right? And this becomes your net price.
And on top of that, there's programs that allow people to, because a lot of times people see $20,000, $25,000, they think they got to come out of their pocket.
That's right.
But there's all kinds of programs now that support being able to get into this without taking a lot of money out of your pocket. Is that right?
That's right. What I've just illustrated here is someone who may want to purchase a system outright. However, 90% of the time, this system is financed through one method or another.
Right.
Typically, there are loans that range from 25 years all the way down to 5 years. Very popular is a 20-year loan. And these 20-year loans have rates as low as 2.99,
Wow.
3.99%. And these are promotional rates that are used to drive the price or the payment for this solar loan to below whatever the utility was charging you.
Wow.
So in a case for this homeowner, for example, if they have a $150 electric bill and we're installing a solar system that only costs $14,000 net and we were to finance this amount, our goal is to get this payment down to $80, $100 a month.
Right.
Right? No more utility bill replaced with a solar payment, no money out of pocket.
Wow.
Zero down. That is the goal.
Right, so no money out of the pocket, a cheaper payment, so you gain there, and you still have the tax benefits depending on how you do everything. Because I know there's purchases and leases and all of that, which we don't have to get all of the details now, but this is really what we want to be great at, is helping people maneuver through this game the right way.
That's right.
And that's what I'm so excited about in our partnership, because this is what we can give away and educate people about how to do this. And so just say, before we wrap up this segment, just give me a really quick overview of, because this is solar, and I know that we have a way, that's why we call it Energy CEO, because we're talking about how to help people be more energy efficient. So
That's right.
Can you just say a brief word about solar? I know is the main one, but what are the other areas that we're going to be offering through this program if people are interested in really, improving their energy?
Yeah.
And it can all be wrapped into this same deal.
Absolutely.
Right.
What's interesting, what I love about Energy CEO is it's all encompassing for a home. A home uses power. If we isolate what those big power consumption equipment is in the house, then we can help improve that home.
Right.
So number one is the HVAC system. Heating and cooling is a big component of that electric bill and that gas bill too.
Right.
So if we look at that and we understand what kind of equipment's at that property, we can come up with better solutions for that homeowner and try to encompass that into the entire project.
Right.
Things like insulation in your roof to make sure that when you are heating and cooling your home, it's not being released into your attic, right? Or that the attic's not affecting the temperature. Your windows and doors, looking at that to make sure that they're up to standards as well, to make sure your home is staying cool or staying heated. And then, of course, you have all of the project together being financed under this really low interest rate.
All wrapped
up into one.
Right.
I mean, that ends up being, can you imagine if you could improve your home and still have a cheaper payment than what you were paying the utility?
Right.
You've been giving that money away to the utility for years. Now you can actually start paying yourself back and improving your home.
Wow, that is a win-win-win.
That's
and
right.
So I want to thank you. That is a perfect way to end off this show. We're gonna go to one more clip, and then I'm gonna come back and close out and tell you about our next show. And I've already got you committed to be on our next show, because we want to go a little bit deeper into what we should look for in taking the next step to really take action when it comes to the truth about solar and moving forward with Energy CEO. And so again, we want to thank Joseph for all of his expertise. Watch this clip, and I'll be right back to give you some final thoughts.
How exactly do we harness solar energy? Solar panels directly convert sunlight into usable electricity using special materials like silicon. Another way to harness solar energy is through a process called concentrated solar power, which uses thousands of mirrors to reflect sunlight onto a tower. The heat captured in the tower makes steam that flows through a steam turbine, which generates electricity. But even though we have these promising technologies to capture solar energy, there are still many challenges with using solar energy on a large scale. For example, the amount of solar energy we can harness can change based on place and time. Some parts of the world get much more sun than others. Solar panels in the Sahara Desert will produce more energy than those in Seattle. But even in the sunniest places, the sunlight still isn't constant. The changing of seasons, the cycle from day to night, and even clouds in the sky can reduce the amount of available energy. To make solar energy usable, when and where it's less available, we need to improve energy storage and transmission systems. Above all, we also need to make solar technologies more efficient and less expensive. Currently, less than 1% of all energy produced and used in the United States comes from solar energy. But as more researchers, private citizens, entrepreneurs, and government agencies are recognizing its amazing potential, we're moving closer to a solar-powered society every day. The more we advance our use of solar energy, the brighter our future can be.
All right, I hope you enjoyed this wonderful show. I know I truly did, because we are revealing secrets about energy so we can take our energy back, take our lives back, and be the CEOs of our energy. Now, speaking of that, I'm so excited about Energy CEO. So I want to put this on the screen for you. This is the brand we want you to know about right from yours truly. You are a CEO. This is the brand and program that we have built specifically to help you, because we want everyone to be the CEO of their energy. So again, remember that brand, and you can always, if you're interested in some of the things you heard tonight, you want more information, you're interested in solar, make sure to reach out at solar@youraceo.com, and we've got a team set up to support you, because we want as many people as possible to make sure they get all the benefits they can. And we're going to be talking more about this very soon, and I'll tell you how soon in just a minute. But if you are new to the show, we want to remind you, youraceo.com is where you can join the movement. Make sure you are a part of our Success Club. And we meet every week here, but we have so much more on the inside of our technology. And we want you to also remember, we believe in live, learn, and earn. We live the life of self-leaders, staying uplifted every day. We believe in learning nonstop so we can keep on growing. And our affiliate program also helps you to earn, because we all need a little bit more wealth. And so I want you to remember, our next show is going to build on what you heard tonight, the truth about solar part 2. And Joseph Barghouthi will be back, and we're going to jump in. And this time, we're going to make sure you know everything you need to know about what it means to actually get the right things when you're getting solar and other things related to energy efficiency. And you're going to learn more about Energy CEO and how Energy CEO can help you save money, help improve the environment, as well as allow you to take control of your expense and your home. I'm Michael E. Parker, and as always, until we meet again, get out there and let the whole world know that you are a CEO. We'll see you next week.